We want to clean in the paint. We're going to call hand checking and body checking, and sportsmanship is an absolute must. Okay.
He lets it fly.
Welcome back to Two Shots in the Ball. I am your co-host, Mike McAndrews. Back from his birthday hiatus is our co-host, Jim McAndrews. Jim,
I learned a
back.
lesson. Yeah, thank you. I learned a lesson not to miss one. I was apparently made fun of a little bit.
Yeah,
so I was not here to defend myself. So here I am.
We will definitely make fun of you when you're not here.
Yes,
that is for sure.
Yes. Okay.
Episode 12.
Awesome.
And episode 12 is going to be, I think, an epic episode for us, a local high-level coach, but also on a national level, a very high-level, successful coach that we are really have been looking forward to talking to for a long time.
High-level coach and a high-level dude. Looking forward to it.
All right, so let's get to it. We'll introduce this week's guest. This week's guest is a college basketball icon. He is the longest tenured coach in all of college basketball, having spent the last 41 seasons as head coach at Oakland University. His team have won 7 regular season championships and 5 conference tournament championships. He has led his team to the NCAA Division I tournament 5 times, including the historic upset of Kentucky in the first round of 2024 tournament. He has developed a ton of professional talent, including numerous NBA players during his time as head coach. In 2017, he was inducted into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame, as well as the Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan Hall of Fame. He was a dual sport college athlete at Bowling Green State University, playing on both the basketball and football teams at Bowling Green. He was recently informed that he will be inducted into the Bowling Green State Hall of Fame as a member of the class of 2025. We are really excited to have coaching legend Greg Kampe from Oakland University join the Two Shots in the Ball podcast. Coach, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you having me on. I love these things. I think what you guys do is a tremendous asset to young coaches and to all coaches. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. I think they're important. Anytime you can soak up basketball, that's what we're here for. So ask away. I'm looking forward to this.
So, Coach, take us through your basketball journey and your athletic journey from your playing days of football and basketball, Bowling Green, to today as the longest tenured coach in all of college basketball.
Well, obviously, to survive like I've been able to survive, there's been a lot of luck involved. I've been very, very fortunate in many, many ways to my parents, to my siblings, to the town I grew up in. My father played football at the University of Michigan. He played on the 47 national championship team. He coached high school football for quite a while. Tried to keep me out of coaching, but he never wanted me to go into it. But he taught me a lot of lessons that would serve me well later in life. Then I grew up in a small town in Ohio. The school actually was a fairly large school in that all the surrounding communities that would come to school in Defiance. We had Hicksville and Paulding and Tenora and Ayersville and all those other little towns around us. But we were kind of on a Saturday. Everybody came to use the grocery store in Defiance. So that's how I grew up in just a wonderful time. And the values that I have were set then. And I was a football player that played basketball. If you can believe that. And I chose Bowling Green to go to school because they were the only school that allowed me to play both sports. And that was really important to me at the time. But people have to understand that, if anybody really cares, I grew up at a time where there was no ESPN, there was no, if you grew up in Ohio or Michigan, there was Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame. And if you didn't go to one of those 3 schools to play football, you didn't go to Auburn or Alabama, or you didn't even know who they were or what they were, because the only game that you watched on TV was the Saturday game of the week with Dave Dials. And, and it was always a Big Ten game and so I went to Bowling Green to play football and basketball. I had a scholarship offer to Michigan State. I had a scholarship offer. This is unbelievable. I had a track scholarship offer to Kentucky.
Wow.
So, and today,
It
if
is
you said,
unbelievable, by the way.
yeah, if you said Kentucky today, I would have looked at it a lot different than I did back then, right? I mean, Kentucky, what's that? I knew they were good in basketball, but I wasn't going to Lexington, Kentucky, even though it was only 4 or 5 hours away, just because social media didn't exist. Life was different. And our football team at Bowling Green was really good. I played with 13 guys that played in the NFL. And now there aren't 13 guys in the MAC to go to the NFL in a year. It's just, we played against the backfield at Miami of Ohio then was Rob Carpenter and Sherman Smith. Both of them were all pros. Rob Carpenter won the Super Bowl as a running back for the Giants. It was just a different day and age. And so I chose Bowling Green to play football because they let me play both. And it was a great decision, and I wouldn't change it. But I really didn't have much of a chance to be a basketball player. I was a defensive back. I made over 100 tackles my last 3 years. And you do that and come out try and play basketball in January after they're already playing for a season, for a month or two. I was a member of the team. I probably my scoring average was less than my grade point average. I might have started 6 games in my basketball career. So I was on the team, but I really wasn't a basketball player. I was a football player that, I had some success in it. And again, this is how messed up the times were when you think about NIL today and money and that type of stuff. So I was offered a free agent spot by the Seahawks. And my agent got arrested and went to jail in the summer because back then agents weren't really agents. They were agents, but he was a money manager. And so right at that time, he got arrested. The free agent's compensation, I believe, was $27,500. There aren't a lot of white 5'9" defensive backs playing in the NFL, even in 1978. So I'm looking at that. Now, what the agent had told me and what probably made some sense is back then there were only 40 players on an NFL team. And because I could play defense, I could play offense, I was a punter, I could kick, I could do a lot of things. They thought I could make the team because I wouldn't be a starter or anything, but I might be the guy, I'd be that 40th man on the team because they wouldn't need an extra punter. They wouldn't need a backup kicker. They wouldn't need that kind of stuff. And I could do multiple things.
Yeah.
And as I got older and understood it, I think they were right, But again, 27 or 29,000, whatever it was, versus a chance to coach. I got off. Bob Nichols, the coach at Toledo, offered me the graduate assistantship. And even today, those jobs are gold. To get into college coaching, I was 22 years old and I was being given a pass into college coaching. I couldn't turn that down. And so I did not go to Seattle. I went to Toledo, took that GA position. 6 years later, I became the head coach at Oakland. So that might be kind of boring for everybody, but
it was not. I learned a couple things there. Again, the Kentucky thing, and then the dual sport. And the MAC is no joke. I was at Central with Herb Dramedy and Charlie Coles and all that. The MAC is no jokes. Kudos to you for doing that. And Michael referenced it in the beginning about your last year's team, the 2014 that upset Kentucky in the first round tournament. What a incredibly magical time had to have been for you and for the whole state. Really, I was glued to the TV and to the news and everything that was streaming. Can you describe, throw some words about what you're feeling during that time?
I was really, the thing I was most pleased with was the way the state embraced us. The state of Michigan really embraced us. The Detroit area, I would hoped and knew because they've embraced us before, but it was really, really special. And, when you spend your life somewhere to see that happen for your university and to see what it meant to Oakland and to my president and to my AD and to our players and all that, it was really, really satisfying. I'm still living off the, I called a timeout I shouldn't have in the game to go to the Sweet 16, and we lost in overtime, and and it ended. And that's going to haunt me for life. I just wish I hadn't called that timeout.
I don't think you did anything wrong. I'm going to have to go watch that.
Well, what I did, there were 17 seconds to go. Rocket Watts had the basketball. The game was tied. I looked at it and I thought, well, I want to guarantee that we go to overtime. Wasn't that sure where Rocket was going to go with the ball, and I wanted Golke or Townsend to have a touch. And NC State was out of timeouts. We had the ball. They couldn't have called one anyways. But they weren't going to be able. They had the great player on that team, but he was a big, heavy set kid. I can't think of his name right. DJ something.
Yeah.
And by me calling timeout, I allowed them to take him out, and they put a more athletic kid in, and he's the guy that tipped the ball out of bounds, and we never got a shot off. And so I've got to live with that. Trying to think of the positive of it.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, those had to be an amazing.
There are a lot of great stories.
Yeah, those 48 hours had to be a whirlwind for you, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, when Jack Golke had 450 followers on his Instagram page when the game tipped off. And by 11 o'clock that night, he had 55,000 followers on Instagram. That's how his life changed.
Story. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to the press room, came out of the press room, and I had to go somewhere else. And I grabbed my phone and I looked down and I had 1,700 text messages. And by the time I got back from the next round of media and got to where we were going to get and go watch the next game, because we were going to play the winner of the NC State Texas Tech game, I was over 3,000 text messages.
Wow.
It is really difficult to answer 3,000.
Yeah.
It was. And what I figured out is because I was up, everybody in the country wanted a piece of it, right? So I was doing media in Singapore. I mean, it was, I was up all night, and I found out that if I answer text messages at 3 o'clock in the morning, they don't see them and they don't answer right back, right? Because you send the text message and then they answer you right back again. Now it's 3,000.
Yeah, you're staying at 3,000 replies. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a whirlwind. And I think one thing I will take some credit for, and I feel good about, is that I didn't get lost in that. I felt that we did a hell of a job of staying focused and getting ready for NC State. And, a lot of times when you get an upset like that, you go to the next game and you get blown out. And we went to the next game thinking we could get to a Final Four. And NC State got to the Final Four. And I felt our team was good enough to do it. We stayed focused. We didn't let it, run us off the tracks. And we played a really, really good basketball game on Saturday. So the fact that of all that stuff, I think that's the thing I'm proudest of from a personal standpoint, is that my staff and I were able to stay focused through, all this unbelievable media attention and all the great things, and still get our team ready to play. And it was crazy. I mean, you're never prepared for something like that. We went to the Lions the month after the Lions had the draft in downtown Detroit, and I was there, and I had to go from one place to another, and it was a 4-block walk. It took me 2.5 hours. I had to take 1 million pictures with people. Yeah. So you're never prepared for your life changing like that. I mean, I'm sure Jack Golke wasn't prepared. I do want to tell one story though. My favorite story of the whole thing. So, we beat Milwaukee to win the league, and we hadn't, I'd had some great teams that hadn't made it to the tournament. So we were on a bit of a drought, and it was more of a relief than anything for me, because I had Kay Felder, I had Kendrick Nunn, I had all these pros, and we went 3 times in 5 years, and then we hadn't been in like 10 years. And we beat Milwaukee. I go to the press conference, and the game ended at 9, and right at 9 is a text message from Calipari. He and I are pretty good friends. I text him back, we'll probably end up getting you. And he said, no, that's never going to happen. And then it did happen. And it was crazy. On Selection Sunday, we had a big deal at the arena. We had about 3,000 people come and go through the selection process with us. And when that ended, I got in my car and I stopped to get gas at a gas station by the university. And there's a lady in there. She's probably in her mid 40s or 50s. And every time I go in there, we talk basketball. She loves our team. And I walk in and she says, "Hey, we can beat Kentucky, can't we?" I looked at her, I was all pumped up, excited. I go, "Hell yeah, we can," And she goes, "I knew we could." So we go, we play the game, we lose, we get back. About a week later, I go in and I hadn't seen her. And she comes running out from behind the glass and says, "Coach, I bet $10 on us and won $720." And that, for her, that's like a week's salary.
Yeah.
It was the best. So she came over and gave me a hug. She bet $10 money line. I didn't even know what money line meant, but she explained it all to me.
Awesome.
Great story. Thank you. And kudos again. It was must-watch TV. So great, big fan of yours. Thank you.
As a coach, we all have people in our lives who have had a significant impact on our coaching journey and our coaching careers. Who are some of the people for you that have had the biggest impact on your coaching career?
Yeah, it's interesting because I have a unique path. And my parents, like my dad and my mom really didn't want me to do it, but once they saw I was going to do it, they played major role in it. The values and the things that they taught me grounded me in this. Bob Nichols, the head coach at the University of Toledo, who was a legendary coach in the MAC, was the all-time MAC leader. He might still be in wins, but he was a different dude, man. He was a different guy. I probably had a better relationship with him, 7 years after he got out of the business than I did while he was in the business. But I learned so much from him. But because I didn't have, I was 6 years as an assistant for him, and then I got the head coaching job. And so I was probably the biggest coaching path that I took that had influence on my thinking was the Detroit Pistons practiced at Oakland University in 1984 when I got the job. And then the Palace was built maybe in 88. They played in the Silverdome for 4 years, but I was at practice every day. And everybody that came in to play them practiced at our place. And so and every coach, they would let me come in and sit and watch. They were thankful that they could practice at Oakland, and they let me go in there. So I got to watch all those NBA practices. I got to watch the bad boys and Isaiah and Rodman and Sally and Lamb. I saw them all, Dumars. Even when the Palace was built, there was no practice facility, so they still practiced at Oakland. I got to watch Chuck Daly. I became close friends with Jack McCluskey. And I would say that those years really shaped my beliefs. And that's probably more of a mentorship than than the normal coach that goes from here to this tree to that tree to that tree and gets to experience all these great coaches. I didn't get to experience that. I got to experience one guy. But because of the Pistons, that probably shaped me more than anything.
And who better to watch every day than Chuck Daly at the height of his coaching career, man? Wow.
Were you wearing a suit at your games at that time? Because Chuck Daly probably could have gave you some advice, right?
Yeah.
For Chuck.
Different pay scale, though.
I started when I got pretty heavy there for a while, and I stopped wearing a suit when I got heavy because I felt uncomfortable, and I couldn't understand why a football coach can wear a hoodie and a
baseball coach can wear a uniform.
Baseball coach wears a uniform. Why would I have to be in a shirt and tie? I never grasped that. So I was one of the renegades early in that.
A trendsetter. Yes.
Yeah. Huggins gets all the credit for it.
Yeah. So, Coach, I've done a lot of research on your zone defense over the years, which is known as one of the best in all of college basketball. Your philosophy consists of no layups, no threes, no fouling, yet you're willing to give up contested mid-range shots. Talk about how this defensive philosophy came about for your program, and has it evolved based on your personnel over the years?
Well, it's evolved based on just playing it and what people do to it. I think probably the greatest compliment that we've gotten about our defense is Bart Lundy, the coach at Milwaukee, was speaking at a clinic, and it was after we had beaten Kentucky, so everybody wanted to know about the zone, right? And he said the problem with their zone is you find something that hurts it, the next time you play them, it doesn't work. And I think that is a tremendous compliment to my staff in figuring out different slides based on what people are doing. It's a unique zone because it's evolved over time. It was very difficult. It was very difficult to 100% commit to it. We used it a lot in the early 2000s. I got it from a guy named Bill Evans, who was the coach at Southern Utah. He came from Alaska, and the guy at Alaska really kind of invented, if you can say invented. Tarkanian had a form of it, and it's basically a 1-1-3 matchup zone. And as over time, it becomes yours, though, because somebody does something to beat it, so you put a call in. If they line up in that way, you put a call in, and then your kids learn how to make the slides. Well, nobody else got beat that way. No other coaches, works the slides that way. And so it kind of dwarfs into your own one. If you ran it, it would dwarf into yours, and whoever would run it over time. And you have a base defense, and that's what we try and teach. But, as coaches, I think you'll agree with this, and young coaches out there, it's hard to commit to being a zone coach because the world thinks you can't coach if you play zone. Right? The world thinks, well, everybody plays man. Why are you playing zone? You don't know how to coach it. You're being lazy. You're going to give up threes. You're going to give up, whatever.
Yeah.
And your bosses don't know it. And the people that hire and fire you, they don't believe in his own. And so it makes it easier for them to get rid of you. And so it's very hard for me to go to people and try and convince them to play zone, because to do it, you have to believe in it. You have to be strong-minded, strong-willed. You have to have people around you that are when it's not going well, will stand up for you. And we've had such great success that I've been able to win that battle, right?
Yeah.
But it's only because of the success. It's
Yeah.
not because of me. It's because of the success of the team. And the defense, so the reason that I came back to it after those early years is because during the COVID year, we went 35 days before our first game. We're playing Xavier, and we get shut down with COVID, and we can't practice for 30 days. So we've got 3 days of practice before we're going to go play a top 25 ranked team. Now, 99% of the schools in the country would have canceled the game. And I didn't cancel it for one reason. They were paying us $100,000 to play the game. And that is the only reason I didn't cancel it. We needed the money. And it was 52-14 at halftime. And I said, to hell with this. We're going to put the zone in. We don't have practice time. We got 30 games. We're playing these games. 5 nights, we put the zone in. 5 nights later, we played the University of Michigan, who was ranked second in the country. We missed a free throw to go up 1 with 40 seconds to go, and we lost in overtime. That was Hunter Dickinson's first year.
Yeah.
And that convinced me I'm sticking with this. I'd always wanted to do it, but that convinced me I am sticking with it, and we're just going to recruit to it. We're going to get better at it. And I had Trey Townsend and Micah Parrish, and they were long, elite athletes.
Yeah.
And if you can get long, elite athletes and play that zone, holy cow, it can be good. As we've got 14 Power 5 wins, and that zone has played a huge, huge part in those wins.
That's an interesting take on that the behind the scenes support that you had to have to do that. So really interesting. And I want to switch gears a little bit, talking about defense maybe, because I went from the coaching side and I'm on the dark side now, and I officiate, and I've done some of your camps. Tell me, what are some of the best qualities that you guys look for at your level in the officials?
Well, I think what Joe Average fan doesn't understand, and what maybe even good fans don't understand, is that they all yell at officials, and they want officials to understand you're not supposed to be seen. We're not here to watch you. Uh, don't make that call. And what fans don't understand is that those three guys, they're every bit as important as the guys playing the game. Because to have a good, clean game, they've got to do a good job, and they got to follow the rules. And they can't allow games to get out of hand. They can't allow the rules not to be followed. They can't let things go so that things grow into bigger problems. Anybody that's ever officiated understands that is a hard job. It is a really hard job, and it's hard to do the things that I just asked you to do. It's hard to be consistent. It's hard to know, is that the same as that? And, and is this ticky tack? Is this a real foul? And it's hard to, for the game to be good, the officiating has to be good. And a well officiated game leads into a well played game. And so, what I want from an official, and I can be as big ass as anybody. I've said and done things I regret that I've said during a game. Anybody that's ever coached has said something they shouldn't have said. Anybody ever officiated has reacted the way they shouldn't. It's part of life. We're human, right? But as time has gone on, and I've understood their role more than I did when I was younger, what I want from an official is I want a guy that's going to work his tail off, that is going to understand the game, understand what coaches are trying to accomplish, be able to communicate with me, and to throw his ego out the window. That's the big thing. Get your ego and get rid of it. Just like I, as a coach, had to learn through my coaching career to get rid of my ego. It's easy to get rid of your ego when you get your ass beat, right? And you get it beat down, and you get beat down. But it's not easy when you're winning. And you win a lot more once you learn to get rid of your ego. And you understand that a player can be right. You understand there's a lot of different ways to do things, that your way isn't always the right way. You have to have standards you believe in, but you got to be open to change. You got to be open to other people's thought process. And from an official, they've got to be the same way. They got to understand who I am coming into the game, especially if you've had me before. You got to come over and you've got to understand. If you're a know-it-all jerk, you and I aren't going to get along.
Yeah.
And if you've refereed with guys like that think that they are, and I don't want a guy that feels he's got to make the call to win the game. I want a guy to just do his job and come over. I like to joke with officials, like we were playing, I forget who it was. Maybe it was at Purdue. And there was about 4 minutes to go, and we were down like 22. And I had one timeout left, and the official came by, and I said to him, and he hadn't done a very good job. He had not officiated. He officiated the game in a Big Ten way. And I said to him, I go, hey, if I don't use my last timeout, I get to carry it over into the overtime, right? And he looked at me. So I like to screw around with him, just to, and I like a guy can laugh and have fun with it. And we had a call this year, national TV, Christmas Day. We're playing Hawaii in the semifinals of the final game of the Hawaiian tournament. And we had lost in overtime to Oregon State the night before. They were playing Nebraska in the finals, and we were in the fourth place game. And with 4 seconds to go in the game, we're up 2, and Hawaii shoots a shot, and a guy goaltends it and dunks it. While it's on the rim, dunks it. And they don't call it. And we go to overtime, we lose. It costs us the game. And the replay, it isn't even close. It is unequivocally goaltending. It could have been our ball. And, maybe we don't win. Maybe we turn it over.
Right.
But it should have been our ball underneath with 4 seconds to go. We throw it into a good free throw shooter, make a couple free throws, throw it the length of the court. Even if we turn it over, they're probably not going to score, right? So we lose. And they just put this rule in last year that on all goaltendings, they're reviewable, right? But they're only reviewable if it's called. So basically, the official, if it's close, it has been mandated to call it, go look at it. Nope, it wasn't. Basket counts if it was, or nope, it's Oakland's ball underneath. Well, he didn't do that. So 2 months later, he shows up in my building for a game. And he walks right over to me before the game starts. He goes, "Look, I screwed that up. And I'm sorry." He goes, "I just missed it." And I said, I had a choice there to rip into him and say, "Yeah, I don't care about that, but the rule was put in, and why wouldn't you at least, to just hit him that he didn't adjudicate it properly, right? It wasn't his judgment. And he was apologizing for his judgment. I was mad that he didn't adjudicate it right. That has nothing to do with judgment.
Yep.
I was man enough to say, thanks, I appreciate that. And it meant a lot to me that he did. But 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I would have ripped into him.
Yeah.
I mean, so we all have to mature and grow up, right?
And I think for me, we've talked to other coaches on this podcast too. Your dear friend, Phil Martelli, who's on here, we got talking about the same topic. And for me, it's just talk to me, right? Like, don't talk at me. You don't want to be talked to that way. I don't want your ego in the way. There's nothing I can say when a guy comes by and I'm complaining about a call other than, hey, I might have missed that one, or I had a different angle than you. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
And 15 years ago, Coach, he would have been a little bit different too. Now that his brother's officiating, he gets a little look into the through the other window.
No, it's not even that. It's that I get guys that go to him and go, dude, your brother's an asshole.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because, I just think that when you say you want to talk to me and all that kind of stuff, yeah, I want to talk to you too. But, I mean, I've got stories. Obviously, I've coached 1,400 games, but I had an official call timeout for me. He thought I needed a timeout, so he called one for me. I swear to God, 4 seconds to go in the game. I just wanted to get to overtime.
Really?
He called timeout for me. Oh yeah, called it and came over and winked at me and said, "You needed that one." I'm going, "Who called timeout?" He goes, "You did," because he had screwed up the game and he thought he was helping me by calling a timeout.
Yeah.
We lost in overtime.
I was going to ask you about some memorable situations.
I think you covered it. Yeah.
You did share.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. That's funny.
So
I was looking forward to one from maybe Smitty holding you down. I would need a picture of Smitty, my boy Smitty, grabbing you. But thank you for sharing those.
Oh, Smitty. I got thrown out at Oregon and the referee said, "You got to get him out of here." And said, "That's not my job."
No.
Awesome. So along the lines of rules, I want to get your thoughts on the recent NCAA rules change that will now give head coaches a coaching challenge option. How do you feel about it? And what kind of strategy do you think that comes into play on how coaches use it?
Well, they had to do something because the last 2 minutes of games were taking forever and everything was a challenge. And basically you're getting, all you got to do, the ball gets, you got no timeouts left, ball goes out of bounds. All you got to do is challenge, say, hey, and they go to the monitor and you get a free timeout, right? And it just took forever. So they had to do something. I don't have an opinion until I go through it. At this time next year, I'm sure I'll have a real opinion of it. It might be good, might be bad. But right now, I see it like, so if I use my challenge early and I'm wrong, I'm going to screw the end of the game when we really need something. So does that mean early in the game, I'm just going to let everything go unless I'm 200% correct that it happened? So I'm struggling with trying to figure it out and it's going to take some time. We open with Michigan, Purdue, and Houston. So we're probably going to have some widespread games that I'm going to be able to use it just to see how it affects, it's really not the outcome of the game, right? Number 8, number 1, and number 2 in the country are our
Wow.
Yeah, don't come home with any timeouts.
Or challenges, right?
I think I have more timeouts in my pocket than any coach in history. Except the NC State game, and I regret it. So
you've coached a ton of pro talent over your 4+ decades at Oakland. Who do you think the best player is you've ever coached? And also, is there anyone that comes to mind as one of the toughest players or best players you've ever coached against?
Yeah, I mean, I coached against Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson. I mean, I've coached against Cade Cunningham. I mean, over the decades, I've coached against everybody.
Yeah.
So I could name 50, right? But for my team, the greatest players, and I'm to the point that I'm answering this question because I've been asked it so many times that I wouldn't answer it. But the most dominant college player that I ever coached was Keith Benson. He was, two-time, should have been three-time player of the year in the conference. While he was at Oakland, we had a 50-3 stretch in league play. In a Division I league, we won 50 out of 53 games. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unmatched almost. Probably the best player I ever coached was Kay Felder. But the best pro I've ever coached is Kendrick Nunn.
Kendrick Nunn.
Kendrick
I
Nunn
had
was
Felder and Nunn in my mind as
Yeah.
two of the guys you might mention.
I mean, Kendrick Nunn was a three-time NBA Rookie of the Month, runner-up NBA Rookie of the Year. But Kay Felder was, I mean, at 5'9" and could jump over. I mean, he was just unbelievable. And then, I mean, Raul Marshall was pretty good.
Yeah.
Jamal Cain was really good. Travis Bader was unbelievable. I mean, our fans have been so lucky. And they'll get mad at me if I rip into them about this, but name another school like in Oakland that was Division II in 1999, and now they're Division I, and you've got Kay Felder and Keith Benson and Raul Marshall and Mike Helms and Kelly Williams and just player after player, Jamal Cain, Ray Townsend, Jack Golke. I mean, you're just player that has gone through here, and you're paying $15 to see him play when you got to go to Michigan. You pay $75 to walk in the game, $15 to walk into the arena, and you're sitting an arm's length away from him, and you're getting that kind of player. I don't think our fans even come close to understanding how lucky they've been.
Yeah, kudos to you. I mean, I take my kids a couple times a year, and you're just so close to the action, and it's amazing. You've done a great job there with that.
I've done
talent recruiting,
acquisition. I'm not going to
talent acquisition
anything else, but I am good at talent acquisition.
You really
talent
are. Which leads us into the
zone
next
defense.
That's right.
Yeah.
The next topic or question I want to ask is the sports, is the NIL and the transfer portal. I mean, you've kind of always had guys that came from other places, whether it be from Division II to come up to you, but it's getting pretty crazy out there, I would imagine, now with this NIL and the portal. Any changes you want to see made?
Well, they've got to put the guardrails on the money. I mean, I got a handful of players making more money than the coaches. I got a guy making more money than the head swim coach, than the head soccer coach. This is their professions, this is their lives, and this is supposed to be amateur athletics. I don't care what anybody says; it's supposed to be amateur athletics. And all the people that support players being paid in that, they've got very good arguments, and I don't even want to get in an argument with them. I have no interest in arguing with them, and I don't want it to come off that I don't. I think the NCAA screwed up badly through the years when they wouldn't allow kid to make money off his jersey, be able to go out. I had Kay Felder, the greatest point guard in the country that year. He's third-team All-American, right? At Oakland, a third-team All-American at Oakland. We took Michigan State to overtime. They were number one in the country at 37. He should be able to run a point guard camp. He should be able to profit off that. He should have been able to make $50,000 in a summer. And if we'd have done all these things, it wouldn't be like it is today. There's always going to be an issue because, it's getting where coaches are making. I mean, a top coach makes $7-8 million a year. Why aren't the player? So there has to be some guardrails on the amount of money that's being spent. And is it really amateur athletics? And do you want these schools to break off and just be another professional league? And I'm hoping that it doesn't get down to that. I'm hoping they can figure out a way that there is profit sharing among the athletes. But if it continues the way it's going, women's sports are going to be gone. Tennis is going to be gone. Lacrosse is going to be gone because you just can't pay for it.
Yeah.
They want. There are people out there that want the athletes to become employees of the university, and then you can collective bargain, right? And then you can collective bargain like the NBA or the NFL. Well, if 400 athletes at Oakland become employees of Oakland University will go bankrupt. There will not be university because as an employee, you've got to pay FICA, you've got to pay insurance, you've got to pay, medical, you've got to
Social Security, you got to pay your
all
Social
of it.
Security, all that.
retirement.
Yeah.
I mean, if a guy's making $100,000, the university's paying somebody $100,000. They're really paying him $150,000 because there's another $50,000 that goes in. So you add 400 employees to we'll go back.
Yeah.
So will Michigan.
Right.
So will Michigan. So will Michigan State.
Yeah.
They can't become employees. And employment law is, there's a lot of rich lawyers out there because of employment law. So there has to be Congress, the government has got to come in. There's got to be antitrust laws. The problem for the NCAA is they go to court and they get sued and they lose. And it's like this year. There's a young man who played a year in junior college who sued because he didn't think that year should count. And a liberal judge out there who many judges are going to side with the working force, right? But he's right.
Yeah.
So every junior college kid in the country was given an extra year. Why does he want an extra year? Because he can make NIL money.
Yep.
Right? I think you're going to see in the NFL draft, if things continue the way they go, the NFL draft's going to go down to 2 or 3 rounds instead of 7. Why? Because nobody's going to come out and get drafted in the 5th, 6th, and 7th round because you're going to make a hell of a lot more staying in college, right? I stay there. The reason everybody goes, well, why would what's the great player at Duke this year? The number 1 draft pick.
Cooper Flag.
Cooper Flag. Why did Cooper Flag not go back to Duke when he could have made $10 million at Duke and he's only going to make $3 million in his first year in the NBA? You have even a guess on why?
No, I don't.
It's a bottom line answer.
I'm going to say the next contract.
It's exactly right. So he's going to take the he's got to get through this 3 or 4 year deal. And then his next contract's going to be
Supermax.
$200 million.
Yeah.
$250 million, right? If he stays in college and takes $10 million, that pushes his max contract down a year.
Yeah.
So why would he do that? It's a $7 million difference this year, but
hundreds of millions in year 4.
It's $50 million more in 4 years from now.
Yeah.
So he is in the minority. The rest of these guys, they're not going to go into the draft. They're going to stay. And especially guys like in the NFL that are 4th, 5th, 6th round picks. Why would I go and hope I get drafted or hope I make a team at minimum wage when Michigan will pay me, $850,000?
Yeah.
And so there has to be guardrails put on. The Congress has to step in. Antitrust laws have to happen. We can't get sued for everything. And until that happens, I can't tell you. I don't even know what's going to happen next year. Right?
Yeah.
I can't tell you what right now my roster size is limited to 15. We had 9 guys available to practice yesterday. We practice. We get 8 hours a week, 4 hours with the ball in the summer for 8 weeks. In my practice yesterday, we had 9 guys available because our roster size of 15 is all you're allowed. And I got 4 guys hurt, 1 guy's sick, 1 guy's dog died. I had a kid's dog die, so he had to go bury his dog. Well, you gonna tell him no? I mean,
Yeah.
in the old days, what the hell are you doing? You're
What
here.
the?
Yeah.
This day, your dog died. My coach wouldn't let me leave and bury him. I'm leaving school. I'm going somewhere where he cares about my dog.
Yeah. And you're trending on Twitter for being insensitive.
That's a true story, man. That is a
Yeah,
true.
that's amazing. It's a really tough subject and I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on it. It's a very difficult one to get our hands around. So thank you for sharing your thoughts on that.
So you had referenced, I was going to lead me into my next question. So that's a good segue. I know the NCAA allows summer work for teams, and you alluded to the time that you get for your team over the summer. Aside from yesterday's practice, Coach, how is your 25-26 Golden Grizzlies squad shaping up this year with some new faces?
Well, I think we're really good.
Yeah.
Love it.
But I've never spent the kind of money we spent. I went out and was able to raise a bunch of money. And I didn't know if I should spend some of it, half of it, so I have some for next year. I said, screw it. Who knows what next year is going to be? We spent every cent of it. And I got more talent in that building than I've ever had in my coaching career. Now, I don't know if everybody, when the lights come on, if they can play when we open at Michigan or we're at Purdue and Purdue's on a run, what are we going to do? Do I have a guy that can win a game down the stretch? Can we make a free throw to win the game? I know that the only thing I don't have, I don't have a Keith Benson. I don't have a 6'11" shot blocker. But who does? Because to have one of those, you better be paying him $3-4 million. I don't have $3-4 million to pay one. So my guess is nobody in our league is going to have one either. So I got multiple point guards that can play. I've got guys that can shoot it. I've got unbelievable size and length. Our zone should be unbelievable. We can score the ball like we did in the early 2010, 11, 12 when I had those great teams. We led the nation in scoring. We score the ball just like that. I've got decisions to make on how fast we're going to play. The last couple of years, we've played at about 62 to 63 possessions. I think this team has played 75 possessions. If we do that, our defense won't be quite as good, but you're going to have to score a lot of points to beat us. I can't tell you how excited I am about this team. But damn, we better be good with all the money we're spending. and I'm going to find out. I mean, I'm really not much of a coach anymore. I'm more of a general manager now. GM and a coach.
Yeah.
What was the guy for the Pistons? Van Gundy. I'm Van Gundy now. I got it all. I got to do it all. And so we'll see. I mean, if we don't win, is it because I'm a bad coach or a bad talent evaluator, or because I didn't negotiate well with our money? I mean, I don't know that answer.
Yeah.
It's a whole different world right now. In the last 2 months, when we completed our roster, the last 3 guys that we got, I didn't talk to a coach. Like if you would have been on your high school team, you and I would have had conversations, right? I had no conversation with the coach. I talked to lawyers and agents. Lawyers and agents. And it took 4 weeks to get a contract signed. And the things that we were negotiating or bickering over or discussing were the stupidest stuff. I mean, they didn't want us to be able to use his picture.
Like ever? Like in a program or anything?
Yeah, we can't use it. We got to pay him to use his picture. Well, we are paying you.
That's what I thought we just did.
That's what this contract's about here, right? This is revenue share. We're not paying to play; it's revenue share, right?
Yeah.
But 4 years from now, you can't use it. What? He played here, and you're going to say that we can't use? No, you're going to pay. I mean, it's crazy.
Times are changing.
If Detroit News takes a picture of him and puts it in the Detroit News, I got to pay you. I mean, the negotiations and what's going on are absolutely crazy.
It is. Can't imagine.
It's so.
I didn't talk to a coach.
It's so transactional now.
Lawyers and agents.
Wow. Crazy. So I have a very
well. If anyone can adjust, it'll be you.
We're gonna find out. I'll tell you what. Come April, we're gonna see. Former player of mine, Brian Gregory, just became the general manager of the Phoenix Suns, and I don't want his job. I'll tell you what, I don't. Going through what I'm going through and doing this just from our side of it. I just want to coach.
Yeah.
You know, I just I will say this though, I got some players, man, and
Awesome.
right now it's fun, coach. It is fun watching them practice and how talented we are, and but who knows what's going to happen when, as Chuck Daly used to say, something bad's right around that corner. It's right around the corner.
Yeah.
And how are you going to handle it? Never trust happiness.
So this,
write that one down.
yeah, this may be the most crucial question I have, Coach. You have a history of wearing the ugly Christmas sweaters during games around the holidays. How did you convince Coach Izzo to coordinate the Grinch sweater with you guys in a game between Oakland and Michigan State a few years ago?
Oh, I think that if you talk to him, his story will be different than mine. So if it started a few years ago, and I talked him into, let's do an ugly Christmas thing. So I had one, and he had this elf sweater on, and he gets a technical early in the game, and social media goes wild, and they call him the angry elf, and he didn't like that too much, right?
Oh.
So the next year I let it go, and this year before the game I said to him, we got to do that again. People want that. They're clamoring for it. People are asking me all the time, can you get him to do it again? I said, but I'll tell you what, you selected that elf, and that was a bad selection, man. I'm going to pick your top, and we're going to wear the same thing, because I don't think two coaches have ever worn the exact same, ugly sweater before. And so I had some help from some people, and what I ordered wasn't coming in, and I was in a panic, and I told them like 3 days before the game, I said, I don't know if we're going to have anything. So bring what you would normally wear. And then I'll tell you what, if it comes in, I'll meet you in the locker room, at Little Caesars before the game. Well, the game was, I think, a Monday or Tuesday, and the night before they showed up, and I put mine on, and I liked it. So I said, I got it. And I ordered him 2 sizes, I didn't want to just order him one size and it doesn't fit, and then he'd have an out not to wear, right? So I went to the locker room before the game. I gave it a bag with both sweaters in it. And then I put mine on, and, 3 minutes, 4 minutes before the game, I'm going to walk out there, and I'm thinking to myself, if he doesn't wear this, I am going to look like the biggest idiot that ever coached, right? And I'm like, he better wear it. He better wear it. And I come walking out, and he's already out there in it. So he probably was going through the same thought process. He better not have screwed me on
Kampe, he's screwing me.
He comes out, Kampe comes out in his Oakland stuff, and I'm standing out here looking like the guy. So
Awesome.
That's how that went down.
That is awesome.
Awesome.
So you've long been known as someone who is passionate about your philanthropic efforts and big into giving back. You've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for the American Cancer Society. You also got involved in our fundraiser for my dear friend, coach and educator, Bobby Patterson, which I personally want to thank you for, Coach. Why is it so important for you to want to give back?
Well, you look at yourself and what you're doing with this, and this is your way of giving back. I mean, when the hair starts to get gray, and you learn, and that ego gets smashed down so much, and you just step back and look at what you're here for, and what nobody's going to remember that we won this many games or we did this, but they're going to remember how they felt about you when they met you, right? And they're going to remember when you shook their hand, what kind of vibe you gave them. And when right now, this year, I've gotten into this homeless thing, and we're trying to build a new shelter in Pontiac for a Hope Shelter. And, I took my team, and we fed all these homeless people, and we cooked the meals, and I think they all got touched by it, and so every year it's something new that you want, but it's all for the same purpose. What can you do to make the people in the world around you better? And I think that comes with age, right? I think the grayer your hair gets, the more gray in your beard, the more you wake up every day and you're not really worried about, your life and what's going to happen to you. You're worried about how you can make other people's lives better. You just start doing stuff like that. It doesn't make you, just makes you old, right? It makes you it makes you experienced, right? It means that your arc in life is on the way down, and you got as high as you can be, and you saw it wasn't all that special up there. It's no different than anywhere on the arc, but it's what you're doing on the arc. And as you're heading towards the bottom of it, you want to make sure that every life you touched is somebody that's going to walk away and say, "Man, that guy helped me."
Yeah. Amen to that, Coach. And again,
Yeah.
I appreciate you getting behind our cause. I know, you've had children that went to Notre Dame prep and Kelly's wife worked for you a little bit at Oakland U. So I really appreciate you getting involved in everything you've done for Bobby. So, Coach, I want to take an opportunity to personally thank you. This was an awesome, hour we spent together. We really appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk to us about your history, the stories, Oakland University, the impact you have. There's a reason you're the longest tenured coach in all of college basketball. What you've done at Oakland University, from taking them from Division II to Division I, and the success you've had has been remarkable. And for me as a coach to be able to look at some of the stuff you do and utilize it in our program with your zone, we've done a lot of that work. But I thank you for taking the time. It means a lot to us. And, you're a guy that's always had time for coaches. And to be able to pick your brain a little bit has been awesome for us.
Yeah, I want to back that up. Thank you again. All the same reasons why. Huge fan of your team and of Coach. I'm a huge fan of Coach Kampe. So appreciate all you do for the community and for your school. Thank you, and thanks for taking the time today to share some of those stories.
Well, I appreciate you guys, and we're in this together. I mean, the one thing that links the three of us together is that we're out there trying to help young men, in my case anyways, but young people, not just become great at a sport, but to become great in life too. And that's our goals. And that's what links us together. And doing things like this is it's important that we do things like this. So thank you for having me on.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We wish.
Thank you. Tell Schmitty we said hey.
I will.
And we wish the Golden Grizzlies this year a ton of luck. We'll see if that money was well spent at the end of it all, huh?
Yeah. Right. Good luck.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Well, Jim, we knew that episode was going to be one to remember, and it certainly was, with Coach Kampe from Oakland University.
Are you kidding me? That was fantastic. Some great stories, and you feel a little closer to him just because he's in our backyard, right? We get to read about him and see him a lot around town. It was really awesome. I appreciate him taking the time.
Yeah, and he's a guy that has always had time for coaches in this area. You and I have been to a number of his practices. You've known Schmitty for a long time from back in your college days. So a program we both have followed very closely. And I know a lot of the coaches that listen to this podcast have followed Coach Kampe and Oakland University as well. So hopefully next week we'll have another special guest joining us. But for episode 12 and for this week, my name is Mike McAndrews. For Jim McAndrews, we thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
We want to clean in the paint. We're going to call hand checking and body checking. And sportsmanship is an absolute must, okay?
He lets it fly.